So, how is the environment affecting our health? Well, as scary as it may be, facts are facts. We as humans, we're changing our environment, and we're changing it pretty fast. So, if it's the climate that is heating up, if it's species of animals that disappear by the day, if it's natural treasures that just die out and dry, it happens every day, every month, every year, quicker and quicker. So those are facts. There's nothing we can do about it. But what we need to realize is that it's not just that nature and beauty is disappearing, it's also our health is suffering from that, and tremendously. And I want to mention a few of the effects of environment on our health, and hopefully offer some suggestion what can we do about it. So let's start with air pollution. Air pollution is major, and we are living here right now in Tenerife, which is a small island in the Canary Islands off the shore of Africa. And in the past, every few weeks in the summer, there would be what we call the kalima, which is a hot wind that comes from the Sahara and carry with it some sand and some dust. And just a couple of days ago, we had the worst kalima ever, at least that the elders from the village here remember, for the last 50-60 years. And that meant that all the way up to here, up to our house, which is in 4,000 feet or about 1,200 meters high, we had a thick layer of dust and sand that covered our everything, basically. It was very, very hard to breathe, and that's the first thing that happens with air pollution, is that it's hard to breathe. And if you have any past history of asthma like I do, or any other respiratory problems, then that's major, and that can increase or worsen the asthma, or cause asthma attacks, which is a nasty thing. The next thing that air pollution does is that it can trigger heart attacks and strokes, especially for those people that have those problems already. So that's something to be aware of. Another problem of air pollution is COPD, which is actually a series of illnesses that cause problems in airflow and breathing. And emphysema is one of them, chronic bronchitis is one of them, and those are becoming worsened as the air is more and more polluted. So what can you do about air pollution? Well, first of all, you can take the extreme case like us and just move to off the grid, away from the city, away from main roads, away from factories, etc. That's quite extreme, but you might want to consider that at one point or another. Another thing that you can do is spend as little time as possible in where there's major air pollution. It can be close to main roads, close to factories, in cities that are having a lot of smoke, and wherever there's dusty air, you want to avoid those as much as possible. And another thing that you can do easily actually in the house is basically using what we call the NASA plants, which this is quite a few house plants, regular house plants that NASA researched and found out that they are very, very, very good in air purifying. And those are some that you want to consider. We have a special video just about that, so you might want to consider it. Just have a look up here. So the second factor that affects our health tremendously when it comes to environment is consumer chemicals. And today we have dangerous chemicals in almost everything that we're using every single day, from in every consumer products, from a printer toner to stainless steel cookery, to of course everything that has to do with plastic, to wall paints, etc. And each and every one of those is harmful for our health, and it's actually very, very dangerous. So there are a few that we need to consider and be aware of, and I'll suggest a few suggestions what you can do about it. Many of these chemicals cause cancer, immune dysfunction, weight gain, thyroid disease, and other illnesses. And they can leach into the groundwater, which means that at one point they're going to come back into our drinking water. So what can you do about consumer chemicals? Well, the first thing that you can do is to minimize the use of them. Just use as minimum as you can. And the second one is that what you still have to use, find bio-friendly alternative, because there are, for most of the soaps and detergents and cleaning material and cosmetics, for most of them you will find bio-friendly or eco-friendly products that will replace them. And for sure what you want to do is to minimize the use of plastic. And if you're not sure about it or how to do that, well, just check out our video about how to live plastic-free for 7 days at least, just here. And if you have any other suggestion how can how can we avoid the effect of consumer chemicals, please let me know in the comment box below. So the third factor in the environment that affects our health, and probably the one that affects us the most, is climate change. And we all heard about climate change, but I'm not sure how much you're aware of how much it affects your health on everyday life. The first thing is allergies. Even a few degrees increase in temperature affects how much pollen plants produce and when, which is a major part of our allergies. The second one is what we call, is what is called disease vectors. Those are fleas and lice and mosquitoes and other organisms that are actually transmitting and delivering, that carrying and transmitting diseases that affects us as humans. And as climate is changing, they change their location. They're moving from one area to another, and diseases that might be non-existent where you are might start becoming existing within the next couple of years. So this is a major concern. Droughts is another one. Although we expect more rainfall with climate change, because it's unpredictable right now, then there's a lot more droughts. And droughts can cause problems like dust storms, like they affect food production or food availability, availability of clean water, of course. So that can affect many millions of people very soon. Another problem is flooding, and it's not just the flood itself, because when the flood subsides, then we're staying many times with mold and with all kind of respiratory problems that causes because of the wetness. The next one is food security. Climate change could affect both the quantity and the quality of food, as well as the pricing and distribution. Mental health, this is something that you might not be aware of, but the more natural disasters we have, the more mental health problems people have, especially when it comes to depression, anxiety, suicide rate is going up. So that's a major concern as the climate change is becoming more and more extreme. Okay, so nutrition is another major issue with climate change, because CO2 emissions not only affecting our atmosphere, but it also affects to the worse how much protein and micronutrients we can get in our plants and vegetables and fruits. And of course there's the wildfires, which except the danger of the actual fire, the smoke is even more dangerous because it's spread a lot farther and bring with it a lot of other concerns. Now, although there's not a lot that we can do about climate change, maybe individually, of course we can do it on a global scale, but individually there are things that we can do ourselves. First one is plant trees. All the trees that you see around us, all of them we planted in the last 5 years. Almost all of them, not the very big ones, but all the rest. You can do that. I have a whole episode about planting trees and why it's important, how you can do that, and why it's so important, how easy and pretty much cheap to do that. So just check it up here. Another solution that you can do is to change your diet, or to adjust your diet to a diet that is actually supporting cooling down of the earth and not heating up. And that's, again, we have a video for that, just check it up here. If you have any other idea for how can we as individuals can combat or put our contribution to lowering the heating of the climate, please let me know in the comment box below. So for the fourth part in the last one, in how the environment affects our health, let's take a look at fossil fuels. So fossil fuels affects our health pretty badly in different ways. The first one is mercury, and mercury is very bad for cognitive development with kids, but it also creates a lot of heart health complications for adults. And we get mercury usually into our diet through fish and seafood, and the mercury gets into the sea through mining operations and coal-fired power plants. The other one that we have is natural gas leaks. So we use natural gas as one of the major ways to generate electricity, but it's also every house is using it usually for heating and cooking. And whenever there's a leak of this natural gas, then all the residents in the area can suffer some major health problems. So that's something to be aware of. And then there's the pollutants. This is the third one there. Pollutants that are released from burning fossil fuels can lead to early death, heart attacks, respiratory disorders, strokes, and severe asthma. So what can you do about fossil fuels? Well, not a lot, but still. First of all, in order to reduce mercury in your diet, make sure that you're preferring small fish. It can be anchovies or herring or sardines or shrimps over big fish. like tuna or marlin or swordfish. What you want to do also is to make sure that you avoid living or working in close proximity or in neighborhood of either natural gas and other fossil fuels processing plants or factories that are using them extensively. So this is what we can do. So if you have any idea, please let me know in the comment box below. So that's it for me. So those are how the environment is actually affecting our health and what can we do about it. And let me know in the comment box below if you are using one of my tips, or if you're having any other tips, or if you want to know more, please let me know. And until we meet again, live fully, stay awesome from Nisande.